So even if you're not a student athlete, there's a lot of good information here that you'll learn about legal aspects of NIL, financial aspects, all this good stuff. So we have Brian Walls, Cassandra Ramsey, Brian Schaefer. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves from my left, your right. So Brian Walls, go for it.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here. My name is Brian Walls. I'm a financial advisor, one half of the team of Brian's financial team, in which really work a lot with student athletes and work with contracts. I myself am a former student athlete, 4-year scholarship athlete at Wake Forest University.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Ramsey. I'm an attorney here in the DMV area. I have my own law practice where I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs on business formation, brand protection, trademark protection. And I also run a NIL website where I have a lot of information about NIL and legal topics and everything that everybody needs to know about NIL.
I'm Brian Schaefer, the other side of the Brian team, working with Western Mutual as a financial advisor, typically working with student athletes like themselves, their families, just really helping people protect and grow the wealth of generations.
Awesome, thank you everyone. So you can see we have a great panel here today, a lot of expertise in specific fields. So let's get started on the questions. So as Luke mentioned in the previous session about legal and financial and the benefits of it, the disadvantages, how you can take it, or how student athletes can be taken advantage of. First question, it's a two-part question, right? What is the importance of having financial legal help? And almost more importantly, what is the cost of not having someone on your side or in your corner helping you with this?
Sure, so it's extremely important obviously to have financial advisors on your team, because we're going to look at things a little different than others. We're going to look at it from a financial point of view. We're going to help you create a financial plan, but more importantly, that plan is going to be based off of what your goals are, what your needs are, and so that way you're going to be able to maximize what the deal might happen to be.
From a legal perspective, we can help you as you get different contracts and everything to understand what those terms mean, because sometimes when you're into contracts, they can have long-term application past just the point of the deal. So to help you understand the broader implications of what you may be doing right in that moment.
Yeah, kind of to touch on what Luke had said earlier, we're going to look at things financially, from tax purposes to future generation. You may get a lot of money here in the beginning, and then what do we do with it? How do we help keep it safe from taxes, but also grow it the most efficient way and keep it working for you? So having that part of your team is pretty important.
Yeah, as you can hear from everyone, that it's good to have those professionals on your side, because we all may be good at something, but we're not good at everything. So it's good to have professional representation, people who really understand how they can help you protect your money, how they can help you legally, etc. So we're going to move on to the next question. Cassandra, I'll start with you on this. So when student athletes or students in general come to you, most likely they have questions about the process, about anything, right? So from a student athlete perspective, when someone comes to you, what are some of the questions they ask you, or what are some of the questions they wish they would ask? It's like, okay, if someone's coming in and you think, I'm going to talk about these 4 or 5 most important things. So what are some of the questions that you would like student athletes to ask you when it comes to legal contracts?
Just maybe the basic question, can you help me understand what these contract provisions mean? Can you help me understand how this might affect me down the road? Is this a good deal? Is this something that I should be doing, or should I be thinking about this in a different way? Is this really the best move for me? And, not only that, but can you help me understand why that is? It's important. I try to reach out to the athletes about, okay, these other things that you need to know, this is why, and this is how it will affect you later on down the road.
I'll turn it over to the Brian's on a financial perspective as well. Brian Schaefer, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, one of the major questions everyone should know here is ask if your advisor is a fiduciary, and what that really means is, are they working in your best interest? So we're in an industry where a lot of people can get into it very easily, and they may not have your best interest at hand. Working as a fiduciary, which Brian and I both are, Basically means no matter what we do, every decision that we make is making in your best interest. So if we're telling you to, put money away into a savings account, that's in your best interest, right? If we're saying to invest it, that's in your best interest. So that's an important word. It's one that you walk out of here with. Fiduciary is a pretty important word to know.
You should also always find out if your advisor is licensed. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be giving you great advice, and it sounds like wonderful advice, and next thing you know, you find out that they really are not working in your best interest, they're not licensed, they really don't have any skin in the game. If you lose $100,000, oh well, you may never see them again. And sadly, we have stories in which people have lost tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they come to find out that they're working with somebody that they just happen to meet on the corner, or they might have grown up with them, but they really don't have their best interests at heart.
I need you to show your authentic self on what you do off the field of play. Are you on the dean's list? Are you smart? Being on the dean's list is a big time thing, and I need y'all all to talk about that if that's what's happening in your life. Do you do community service? Because that's tip by tab number 5, is make sure you're involved in the community. When you do something good or when you do something bad, having the community support. And that's something as simple as you are going down to the local elementary school and you're reading, you're having a field day, you are talking to these young athletes about how to stay in school and how reading is fundamental. And these are things that we need this day, because unfortunately, based on COVID, smaller kids in that range, they have very bad social skills because their first couple of years of learning were on a computer. So seeing someone face to face in their classroom talking about these things, that changes their perspective. A fun fact, ages 17 to 22 do a great job when they're invested in something else other than them. So at this time right now, you're going to see the joy of meeting and interacting with the younger kids in the younger space, and that's even high school all the way down to elementary school. For them, they may not know anyone that actually plays sports in college, that has won something, that's on TV, that made a video. So you doing community service helps you way more than I'm sure it's going to help the school. It helps the school, but for the athlete, that's something that you can build on and something that authentically comes out. And that's another thing that attracts brands. Brands are like, oh, she brought her dog to visit with these kids. They love the dog. Guess what? Now you can go get a deal for PetSmart. She loves to read. You know, there are so many connections because there are so many brands who are looking for authentic student athletes to do deals with.
That's great, And so let's stay on that topic and dive a little deeper, and let's really help connect the dots for some of our audience. Or how does that involvement as a student athlete in social charitable causes, how does it enhance, like, we know that feeling of joy that they'll get, what the research has shown us, but let's help them understand, how does that broaden their appeal to sponsors? How does that broaden their appeal to the fans? Those same alumni that we gotta go see after our game, how does the community work? How do I bridge it all together and tie it together?
So how you tie it together is, like I said, being authentic. That's the biggest tie. Your third tip is always build your brand. And when I say always build your brand, as Luke said, is everything about you. Is your personality, your online presence, your off-the-court presence, your classroom presence. That is your brand. So when folks say, do you know Ivory Tab? They're gonna say, yes, she works out. I love the color. So she works out, she talks NIL, she wears dope sneakers and glasses. That's my bag. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's my thing. There are other things that I do. Oh yes, she does. She works with athletes. But for me, the presence of this is who I am, this is what the community sees that I am, that's what I want to build the brand on. And my brand is, no, she didn't go to an HBCU, but she's always at HBCUs trying to help their student athletes become well-versed in NIL, and help themselves do deals. Because let's be honest, only up at the top, the 1% of the 1% actually need an agent. When we're at a different space, right here, down at this level, learning what to do and how to do and being able to do it yourself, those are the things that make it easy, but then also you don't have to give anybody your money. If you have an agent, they want their 25%. Trust me, Michael up there, he wants his money. Michael wants his percentage, and he's shaking his head. Michael wants his percentage. Then you have to go to someone like Luke to look at the contract. And if someone, let's say that someone should always look at the contract. But for the basics and what you are supposed to be able to do, you should know those terms for yourself. So when you are doing these simple deals, you know what to look for, you know what you should expect, and you also know what's fair. Because they will take advantage, and that's why I go and do all of these things with you and on my own, is because I don't want anyone to take advantage of our student athletes.
Absolutely. That's a big reason of why we do these summits as well at different universities, is so that we can educate our students. So let's stick to that as far as like there are brands that are out there that will take advantage of student athletes, and we've heard the horror stories and things like that. But let's talk about the full spectrum, right? Let's talk about how there's compensation that comes in many forms. There are different types of deals. If I'm new to NIL, all I see is, Shador and Angel and Caitlin getting all this money. So I assume NIL is only money. So if you offer me something for free, I don't want that. I wanted the money. So if I'm trying to build my brand, if I'm taking these tips by tabs, if I came today and I'm trying to utilize everything that everybody taught me, what should I know when someone reaches out in my DMs?
So the biggest thing is, like we said, it's not always money. Products, goods, services. And when those three things are very important. So let's say you went to Chipotle every day, because I love Chipotle. You raise your hand, who loves it? What you get? What's your bowl? Yeah.
I get white rice, black beans, tomatoes, eggs, steak.
Okay. For me, brown rice, double steak, tomatoes, light cheese, sour cream. You see what I'm saying? Every day, if I were you, I would post when I get this Chipotle and at Chipotle. Because trust you me, Chipotle has somebody as a social media manager that's looking at their ads and looking at what's going on in the space. And after the first post that I want you to do when you go get Chipotle this week, I won a championship back to back. Guess what? My meal of choice, my victory meal was Chipotle. Boom. At Chipotle, shows up eating your Chipotle. You keep tagging a company enough, someone's going to see it, it's going to be a trend, and then they're going to reach out and say, hey, we see you love Chipotle, how about a free bowl on us? And then it turns into something even bigger. So when Antoine talks about goods, it's like you posted on your own, and what if Chipotle loved your post so much, and they say, here's an athlete card, because they have those. You get one free Chipotle bowl a day for a year. See? Exactly.
We're going to keep this moving. We're going to talk about balancing athletics, academics, and NIL. Obviously, the theme of this summit is NIL, but as we know for student athletes, they're a student first and an athlete second, so they have to try to balance and put NIL into a lot of their duties on a daily basis. So we're going to talk about that. So to my left, you are right, Dr. Mecca Marsh, Dr. Marissa Edwards-Burrell, Dr. Gwenna Blandon. So again, I'm Tarek Ahmed, athlete agent, rep, and personal branding educator. So I'll start to my left with Mecca, or Dr. Marsh, and I'll let everyone introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. I was giggling because we all went to graduate school together, and to hear that and 3 times is amusing. So, like was shared, my name is Dr. Mecca Marsh. I am the CEO and founder of M. Marsh Consulting. We are a career coaching, training, development company working with specifically college students, college-age student athletes, and reminding them that you're a student athlete, not an athlete student.
Thanks. My name is Dr. Marissa Edwards-Burrell. I am a lifestyle therapist and health psychologist in the DMV area. A lot of the work that I do surrounds building up your lifestyle with regard to mental health as well as physical health, in addition to a sector of lifestyle therapy and consulting, my side business, that also talks about student athlete mental health and how to manage that.
There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Gwen Landon. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. Right now, I'm currently working in group private practice right outside of Northern Virginia, so right in the Tysons area. I do a lot of work with children, teens, young adults, doing a lot of work with depression, anxiety, ADHD, trauma, risk management, gender identity, and so just trying to help, again, kind of destigmatize mental health within our communities.
Awesome, thank you everyone. All right, let's get right into it. So as mentioned, the theme of this panel is balance. So we're gonna talk about balancing these three things. So I will start with Dr. Marsh. What challenges do you believe HBCU student athletes specifically face when balancing these three things? And then from an earlier panel, Taryn Bushrod had mentioned a phrase that she hates, which is keeping the main thing the main thing. So as you can see, there's three things here, right? Athletics, academics, NIL. So I will turn it over, like what are some of the challenges that they face and how can they really balance these things?
I think reminding themselves that you're a student first. There are, I think, 200 something hours in a week. And so there's a majority of that time you're in class or you're eating or working on your body, but you're also playing a sport. But you have to remind yourself that this is a tool for the next step, the next chapter after graduation. Because the goal is to graduate, hopefully in 4 years, sometimes 5, possibly 6 during the pandemic year. And just that balance piece. So going to class, picking classes in 15 credit hours, not just 12, picking classes that are academically challenging versus basket weaving one-on-one. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I think some of the main challenges that we experience, especially in this population, is in fact the balancing. Whether it's balancing athletics, academics, NIL, student athletes have an additional barrier or challenge because of the level of involvement, the level of responsibility, the level of visibility. All of these things require additional time that a lot of other students might not have to require and set aside. And so whether it's routine building, structure building, one of the other big things is a lot of us also aren't aware of how our mental health is impacting balancing some of these things. So if our student athletes aren't aware of how these mental health challenges are impacting them, it makes it even more challenging for us to balance some of those things.
Yeah, so I would piggyback off of all that. I think the biggest thing is trying to help find that balance. So that I think takes intentionality, right? It takes really sitting to figure out like, what do I have to do for class, what I have for my other commitments, things of that nature, and trying to, like Dr. Edwards-Burrell was saying, trying to have some type of structure, some type of routine to make sure you're tackling all these things and not just having a all or nothing type of attitude, like I'm only a student, I can only do this, but really trying to find how we can put it all together. But again, that sometimes requires talking to teachers, talking to coaches, mentors, things like that to try to help figure out how you can have that balance.
And then piggyback on that, obviously whenever there's balance, there should be some type of structure in place. So what are some strategies and tools to help student athletes balance their lives? So Dr. Edwards-Burrell, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this is my favorite thing to talk about. Both doctors will tell you that my planner is my life. I hope you're okay if I share this story. Once we were in grad school, my friends thought it would be funny to steal my planner from me. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know what's happening now. So for 2 days, I was like, I don't know what's happening. And I say all that to say, sometimes we need an external brain. Sometimes there's too much to balance, too much to manage. And so having some type of intentional, routine, structured system that works for you. So whether that's a calendar invite, whether it's a to-do list. I'm a to-do list queen. And so a lot of people tend to try to hold all of the things that they're managing in their heads. And so then we're leading to some of those anxious thoughts. I'm spiraling. My brain is constantly trying to remember what I have to do as opposed to putting it somewhere external where I can always go, reflect, and come back to it. And so I think a lot of the things that we need is a system. The other issue that we tend to find is a lot of people's systems are in place, but they don't work for them. So if I'm someone that doesn't like planners, but everyone's telling me to use a planner, then what am I gonna do? And so finding the systems, having a level of self-reflection, being able to look back and say, this part of this system didn't work for me.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Definitely, I was not a planner. No. And for a while, I was able to rely on my memory. And then over time, I realized that was not working because I would miss something or, again, running into last minute things of like, oh, I forgot about that. Where again, now I'm causing myself to get stressed out. And a lot of times we put some of that pressure and stress on ourselves. But also, I think it was okay for me to realize it's okay to have a planner. It's okay to write stuff down. Because I think over time, we get to a place, I don't need that. Like, and again, we think it's a bad thing, but trying to normalize that, you know, these resources are here for a reason, you know, apps. You know, I'm more of a, you know, now I'm a little bit more traditional. I would write stuff down. But a lot of these, you know, younger kids and things like that, use your phone. You know, use the different apps, use things that can work for you to help you to succeed.
Last but not least, let's talk about getting to the money, how we can monetize NIL, how we can work together. So on this panel here, I have Michael Franklin, who we heard from earlier today. We also have Aisha Floyd, Michael Seabrook Jr., and Tariq Ahmad. Michael Franklin will be serving as our moderator, so I'll pass it over to him and start us off.
Yep, appreciate you, and thank y'all for making it through the whole day. Like, hasn't this been a fabulous summit?
Yes.
Yes. So my shout out to Antoine, BSB, DMV, and everyone for coming together to bring folks here. Because like I think the thread throughout the day has been community and making sure that we're able to stay together outside of the conversation and the events that happen here today. And so as we get into this conversation around monetizing NIL, like we've talked about community, and there's a lot of stakeholders, from the students and their families to the colleges and universities to the brands and sponsors and even fans, supporters, and everybody else who has some sort of stake in this work. And so as we get into this work, I really am looking forward to the gems y'all are gonna add for how we can monetize this and maintain community. So starting off, could y'all take a moment to introduce yourselves and tell folks what y'all do?
Absolutely, I'll go first. Hello, my name is Aisha Floyd. I run an NIL education program called Major NIL Success. I help student athletes and parents learn what they need to do to position themselves for NIL deals and just opportunity within themselves. I served as Director of Recruiting at the University of Kentucky for 5 seasons. And before that, I played basketball at Radford University.
Hi again, everyone. Tariq Ahmad, NIL agent. I represent athletes across the board throughout all colleges, and then do personal branding education as well for colleges, and trying to move down into the high school AAU space as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Seabrook. I run Brookline Sports, which is a sports marketing company. I work with professional athletes as well as collegiate athletes. So I handle a lot of NIL deals now currently with some football players, which is making my main clients.
Cool, so as y'all can hear, we got a very qualified panel before us. And so my first question to y'all is, I want to talk about, from the work y'all do, the relationships y'all hold with colleges and universities and athletic departments, and what are some examples of great ways in which they've helped maximize NIL opportunities?
You guys can hear me, right? All right, perfect. So I would say for me, just seeing how the universities, from coaches, staff, a lot of things they have been doing is the education piece. So Luke is a great person, Ivory is a great person I've known. A lot of people are being consulted out, so they're being service jobs to come in. There's great education pieces on the legal side, financial side, to how to monetize themselves and how to protect themselves. So that's one of the biggest things, and a lot of schools have been partnering with a lot of NIL companies, so Influencer is one of them. And there's a lot of people that do consulting. I'm pretty sure that have gone on to different schools to get more education backgrounds. So they have been doing pretty good. They can do more, they can do better, but they have been doing pretty good outside.
I mean, I would say the same thing. From the inside and the outside, just education. I always say that NIL is an individual sport. So the person that is participating, if they're not educated or motivated to put themselves out there and know what to say, what to do, then it's really a lost cause for them. So just the education piece is a big part that
university do.
I'll echo both of them and say that education is key. Until recently, schools could not help facilitate deals for student athletes. That rule has changed as of about 2 weeks ago. The schools could not pay the athletes, but they can help facilitate the deals. So in addition to what they just said, education is there, and now you're going to start seeing a little bit more facilitation. So to the question, that's how the schools are helping.
Nice, and given that rule change that's happened too, do y'all see an opportunity for like the boards of universities to get into these conversations a bit more, to help bridge some of those relationships?
I could see a little bit of that. I think it'll be kind of muted at first because they may not see the value in it, but I could definitely see it may be the relationships within the athletic department first and then going to the broader university from there.
Yeah, totally agree. I definitely think the biggest advantage is going to be the trust factor, because you are working with your staff, athletic staff, that you've been there prior to 2, 3, 4 years, and their job is to, maximize your general on the field, on the court.